Welcome everybody. For the 15th in the series of Munyal Ayurveda webinars. So we are here again today to listen to from an eminent personality, Dr. Suresh Negalgudi sir, who is currently working as a professor in the Department of Rachana Sharira, Munyal Institute of Ayurveda Medical Sciences. So he will be today he will be talking on hemorrhage and its Ayurvedic management. So a very important aspect from the point of view of clinical practice and also from the point of view of a Shalya person. So sir is basically a surgeon. So let me take this opportunity to give a brief introduction of Dr. Suresh sir. So I welcome Dr. Suresh Negalgudi sir on behalf of Munyal Institute. We have with us our principal Dr. Satyanarayan with us. We welcome our beloved principal also to this presentation and all my colleagues, students and the participants of today's webinar. So Dr. Suresh Negalgudi sir, he is BSAM BMS. He's finished his integrated practice, integrated degree in 1985 and had his degree, postgraduate degree in the Department of Shalya Tantra from Bangalore Medical College. So he started his career in A.L.N. Rao Koppa Ayurveda Medical College in the year of 1988. And then he joined Alvas Ayurveda Medical College, Moodbidri. He was the principal HOD of Shalya Tantra. He was later served as professor and dean of the Alvas Institute. And for a short time, he was also the professor of Department of Shalya Tantra in PNNM College. And at present, he is a professor in Munyal Institute of Ayurveda Medical Sciences. So without much taking much time, I hereby would request Dr. Suresh sir to continue with his deliberations. Sir, we welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Very for your elaborated or my biodata. However, being a surgeon as well as Shalya post, I am very much thankful for the opportunity given to me to talk something regarding Shalya topics to the Ayurvedic students. As far as the topic I adopted is concerned, this time one of the important topics, one of the important things, one which should be always borne in mind is blood. Because whatever the type of procedure it may be, or whatever the type of disease it may be, and whatever type of the management it may be, the prime concentration should be towards the blood, because blood is the only factor, one which is liable for life. So here, as far as blood is concerned, let us discuss the escape of blood. In what reasons the escape of blood, one which should not be, may manifest in various occasions, and its varieties are also thought of. So hemorrhage and its management in the sense, not elaboratedly, but one by one, the bifurcations, when in general, if the bleeding is taken place, what should be the first aid to be taken is one of the important things. So as far as hemorrhage is concerned, what is hemorrhage? Hemorrhage, say, we come across the outcoming of the blood where it should not. Blood is a factor, one which is having the quality of flowing which should be flow also. That is what in the Sroto Vijnana Sharira also we come across. Here, say, from head to toe, various sides, various organs, various places, the escape of blood may take place due to various reasons. It may be internal or external. Say, for example, in the upper head, if we come across, one of the important factors where we have to give an extra attention towards the blood is in the intracranial hemorrhages, cerebral hemorrhages, or subarachnoid hemorrhages. And also, if we come little down, eyes are also presenting with various kinds of hemorrhages if something is happening. It may be internal or external. And in the same way, we come across ENT disorders. Even from nose also, the bleeding may be in the epistaxis or in various injuries. And in the throat, even it may be in the form of hematemesis or hemoptysis. So it is connected with the respiratory system. And also connected with the stomach. And also the lungs in various pulmonary conditions, pneumothorax may be there, or other thoracic injuries may be there. And also in the tooth extractions, the mouth bleeding may be there. In the same way, gynecological conditions we come across, the bleedings from vagina because of the uterine factors. And in the small intestine as well as large intestine, even internal bleeding may manifest or external bleeding may manifest. Also, the Rakta Pitta or Rakta Atisara, as told in Ayurveda, the bleeding from per rectum may take place. Even melena may take place. See, these are all various conditions in various diseases. The disease I am not going to discuss in detail because my prime aim today is to discuss regarding the hemorrhages, the pattern as well as its identification. And also the lower limbs also we may come across. The various bleeding, say the venous injuries it may be there, venous disorders it may be there, or arterial disorders it may be there, thrombotic condition it may be there, like that. However, here we have to think of certain other diseases so many times in the various kinds of hemorrhages. Even external factors are also there when we are discussing regarding the hemorrhage. Even it may be traumatic factors, maybe in the form of abrasion, in the form of bruise, in the form of gunshot, any various injuries one which we discuss in the topic of wounds. However, by this brief introduction, let us enter to certain types as well as the varieties of the hemorrhage. Let us pray the Lord Dhanvantari first of all to give health for all, especially in this eve of Corona. Let the Lord Dhanvantari save all the people in the universe. So what is hemorrhage? We have already seen. Emitting blood from the injured vessels is called hemorrhage. Say, blood should flow. Blood should not be stagnated also. So say in various conditions we come across, the moving of the blood is not there. Say Sangha, in the Sroto Dushti we come across. Vimarga Gavana, Sangha, especially Sangha as well as Vimarga Gamana can be adopted here. Sangha is the no escaping of blood. Vimarga Gamana may be the hemorrhage due to certain things which we are going to see now. So the emitting of the blood from injured vessels. So injury, as we have already discussed, of various kinds. So when we are looking upon the classification of the hemorrhage or the bleeding, see, it is depending upon nature of the vessel involved. So the nature of the vessel involved, let us discuss. As well as the timing of the hemorrhage, when it is taken place, what the duration of the hemorrhage, as well as the nature of the hemorrhage. So the nature of the vessel involved, nature of the hemorrhage involved, timing of the hemorrhages, as well as duration of the hemorrhage. So the depending on the nature of the vessel involved, the vessels, say blood is flowing in three types of vessels, especially to Sira Dhamani or artery as well as vein, and the capillaries. So capillary networks are there. So the arterial hemorrhage, one which is flowing in the arteries, if due to certain factors escaping from the artery, it is arterial hemorrhage. Venous hemorrhage is one which escapes from the vein. Capillary is one, say like in abrasions, etc., one which gets out through capillaries. And depending on the timing of the hemorrhage, timing, so when, now, like that, primary hemorrhage, as well as another is reactionary hemorrhage, maybe due to the force of something, and a secondary hemorrhage, which may take little delayed, or due to another reason or another cause, the hemorrhage, if manifesting, we may classify it in the secondary hemorrhage. And also depending on the duration of the hemorrhage, the duration, say, when it has taken place, whether it is a sudden onset, say some accidents may be there, injuries may be there, trauma may be there, say the head injury taken place, cerebral hemorrhage, the bleeding from the ear, nose starts, like that acute hemorrhage or chronic hemorrhage, one which was there still so many times, it comes and stops, comes and stops, like that. So the chronic hemorrhage from the long duration, it may be internal or external. And when depending on the nature of the hemorrhage, external, say as we have seen, discussed already, one which is coming from the external part. That means the one which is having the direct connection with the environment. Another is one which is inside the body itself, internally bleeding. The bleeding is taking place internally. It may be in the stomach, it may be in the intestine, it may be in the lungs, wherever it may be. With reference to the Sroto Dushti, it is related with the affected Srotas, affected reservoir, affected part. And when depending on the nature of the vessel involved, arterial hemorrhage, we have already seen. So what is arterial hemorrhage? Hemorrhage coming from an artery, and which is recognized by bright red color. So how we can differentiate? It's a bright red color, and which is ejected in the spurts with each systole of the heart, so which is related with the heartbeat. So it will jet spray, just like jet spray. Especially this caution should be there while we are doing certain surgical procedures. So when the operating, at the time of operation, the venous bleeding is not as difficult or as dangerous as these arterial hemorrhage. So how we can differentiate whether arteries get traumatized? By these features, especially the jet outflow should be seen. And venous hemorrhage, from the vein the hemorrhage is taking place. Usually the arterial bleeding will be continuous, whereas hemorrhage which comes from the vein is venous hemorrhage. It is characterized by not brick red rather than dark red, because it is having the anoxia, especially darker more when anoxia is there. Less oxygen given to the anesthetized patient in the condition when the oxygen is reduced, airway obstruction or cardiac arrest. And the capillary hemorrhage is one which comes from the capillary. Hemorrhage blood which is bright red and oozes rather than flows out. So it is oozing out. we can see the abrasions, especially good example. And depending upon the timing of the hemorrhage, which occurs only at the time of injury of the operation. One type, say the primary hemorrhage. Primary hemorrhage means suddenly occurring. So at one injury, one person fell down, bleeding comes like that. And a secondary hemorrhage is one which occurs usually after few days later, 7 to 14 days. Especially in the surgery we can come across, the after surgery, post-surgical period, or due to infection and sloughing a part of the artery, or in the peptic ulcer or hematemesis or hemorrhoidectomy as a secondary bleeding we can observe. And depending on the duration of the hemorrhage, the sudden occurrence is one, like esophageal variceal bleeding in the portal hypertension, or chronic hemorrhage which occurs over a period of time, like hemorrhoids, duodenal ulcer. The patient may be complaining, say I am having the blackish color stools, or pain and drops of the blood during defecation, like that. And depending upon the nature of the bleeding, one is external hemorrhage, which is revealed hemorrhage, like epistaxis or hematemesis. We can see the blood is coming out. He shows, the patient may tell the blood is came out. Internal hemorrhage we cannot see. Concealed hemorrhage, one which is covered only by other features, we have to assess and later go for the investigations like endoscopic procedure, etc. Peptic ulcer may be there, ruptured ectopic gestation may be there, fracture of the major bones may be there, rupture of the spleen or liver, in like various organs we may come across. These are also some examples. And a reactionary hemorrhage is another pattern which is also one of the complicatory phenomena, occurs with 24 hours of the injury or operation. In majority cases, reactionary hemorrhage occurs in 4 to 6 hours. So that is why in the post-operative period we should be very cautious regarding the patient's condition. Due to the dislodgement of blood clots or slipping of the ligature, some ligatures may be put in the at the time of procedure. So the bleeding itself, the arrest of bleeding, we come across putting the ligature. So that ligature is if loosened or slipped, bleeding may take place. That is a reactionary hemorrhage. Or due to the rise of BP, one is recovering from the anesthesia or shock, occur due to restlessness, cough, vomiting, which rises venous pressure. And classification based upon the blood volume if you come across. There are 4 classifications done. Class 1, 15% loss. Class 2, 15 to 30% loss. And class 3, up to 30 to 40% loss. And class 4, greater than 40% loss. Increased heat at minimal physiological changes may be there in the first class. And in the second class, when it attains increased heat, heart rate, decreased pulse, pressure, as well as BP, all to be seen. And 30 to 40% loss means heart rate will be increased, as well as BP will be increased, decreased, as well as body heat will be increased, capillary refill may be delayed. In greater than 40% loss means decreased blood pressure, increased heat rate, shock, the body becomes cool, and decreased level of consciousness going to the comatic stage. And measurement of the blood loss. So the measurement is one of the very important things in all kind of hemorrhages. So we are looking for the hematocrit. So in the hematocrit we have to see what is the percentage of the hemoglobin, and in the acute conditions, so sudden onsets, weighing of the swab. The swab is to be weighed. Measurement of the swelling of the closed fracture, and measurement of the blood clot, as well as measurement of the CVP, central venous pressure, is also to be understood. And also the various other factors to assess the bleeding, the sonological tests as well as endoscopy and other laboratory investigations are also to be advocated along with. These are all things when we are having the doubt of bleeding, either it is internal or external. So when we are entering to the treatment side, to stop the blood loss is the prime intention. And next, the restoration of the blood volume. The blood volume should be restored well. And the stoppage of the blood loss is to be first of all done, because if the bleeding continues, it will lead to comatic stage. And to stop the blood loss, the first thing is to be, or important thing is rest. And rest also in certain methods we have to follow. So in certain injuries, the foot and rise is to be done. In certain conditions, the head is to be raised, especially in the lower limb conditions, the limb is to be elevated. And the pressure and packing from the inside, outside, pressure pack to be done. When say, first of all, what you do, in general, even laymen also doing it. When the blood escaping is seen, he suddenly puts a cloth and ties it. Or so many times we come across, they are packing some other sugar, etc. But the prime idea here should be, it should be packed, packing should be done from the outside. And then, if still required, the operative methods are to be advocated. The related condition methodologies to stop the bleeding. And as far as rest is concerned, absolute rest is vital so far as the treatment of hemorrhage is concerned. Restlessness causes more blood loss. Sedatives and analgesics may be prescribed. Patient become restless due to pain and the hemorrhages. The hemorrhage and pain will make the patient restless. And position of the condition. As far as the position is concerned, bleeding from the varicose vein, elevation of the leg is to be done, Trendelenburg position. Bleeding from the thyroidectomy, elevation of the head to reduce venous pressure, anti-Trendelenburg position. Like this, the appropriate position is to be advocated. And pressure and packing from outside, sterile pieces of gauze and bandages may be used. Packing. Pressure bandage to reduce bleeding from external wound. The gauze pieces are used as package. These are all packing. And tourniquet, it is one of the important things which we should know. Because in anything, when the flowing out of the blood is there, tourniquet is having its own role. So the pneumatic cups with pressure gauze, as well as a rubber bandage. Even rubber bandage also advocated. See, in any bleeding, first what we do is, we will block the area of the bleeding, the blood escaping out. So that is by these methods. And these bandages should not be too loose. What your tourniquet you are putting, it should not too loose. Loose do not serve the purpose. Too tight. So many times if we put too tight ligature or the tourniquet, it will lead to arterial thrombosis. It may result in gangrene. And too long time, so many times too long time if you put also, it may lead to gangrene in the limbs. And some other surgical methods are also advocated. So the reduction of the fracture, repair of the tendons, repair of the nerves, when bloodless field is desired during surgery. These are the indications. Say, the certain various, I am not discussing regarding the procedures, but the related procedures are to be done. Contraindication is there in the patient with the peripheral vascular disease. Application of artery forceps to control bleeding from veins, arteries and capillaries. Application of ligatures for bleeding vessels. In the surgery, we are having the main role of this ligature, various parts, ligature as well as cauterization. Cauterizing, say, in Ayurveda also we are discussing next. And application of the bone wax, control bleeding from the cut edges and of bones. silver clips to control the bleeding from cerebral vessels. And also splenectomy when spleen is ruptured because the Raktavaha Sroto Mula, which is damaged. And as far as Ayurvedic point of view, the Rakta Srava is concerned, Rakta is said to be Deyasya Rudiram Moolam Rudire Naiva Dharyate Tasmad Yatnena Samraksham Rakta Jiva iti Sthitihi. We have to protect the blood which is Jiva. Rakta Vahe, so Rakta is in the Srota, one of the Srotas. So the Srota Mula being Yakrit as well as Pliha. Shonitavahan, Srotan. So they are said to be Shonitava Srotas. Raktava Sroto Dushti. So here we have to concentrate regarding the Sroto Dushti. Various Sroto Dushtis are there. Vidya Lakshanas are there. Here Sroto Vidya, Raktava Sroto Vidya may lead to Raktava Sroto Dushti. So even by various kinds of Vidahi, Annapana, Snigdha, Ushna, Drava, Raktavahi, Srota Dushana should take place. That should be avoided. I will go a little fast, only just telling the things as a hint. Rakta have vitiating factors. So Pitta Prakopa, Pitta and Rakta are having the Ashraya Bhava, Avinabhava Sambandha. So especially the Pitta Prakopa may be one of the leading factors for Rakta vitiating factors. So it may be Shama, Abhigata or Viruddhashana, etc. may be Prakopa or making the vitiation of the Rakta. And without dosha, Rakta may not get polluted. And also without Rakta, the doshas may not get polluted. So we have to see the dosha as well as the blood factors simultaneously. And Shonitava Sroto, if get Vidya or affected or damaged, Jwara, Daha, Panduta and Shonitagavana, along with the Rakta Netrata, as we have already discussed, may come. And Shonitavaha Sroto Vikaras. The Srotas affected will lead to various Vikaras we already know in Ayurveda. Especially Shonitavaha Sroto, if affected, Kroshtika Shira may be there, Masurika is there. I am not discussing the details of each disease due to the lack of time. Visarpa may be there, Rakta Pitta may be there, Rakta Dhatugata Jwara, Vidyadi, Gulma, Arsha, Udara, Chita Pitta, Hota, Vatarakta, Kushta, Switra, Daha, Asragdara, Kamala, etc. may manifest. And Sushruta viewed Raktasrava through most of the Siramarma as a Sadhyo Pranahara. And Siramarmas, you refer the text, various Siramarmas are there, you go through it. Siramarma and Sadhyo Pranahara Marma are having a main role in the Raktavas process. And various Siramarmas as well as Raktavaha, Rakta related Marmas are to be thought, studied and applicated here. And the out of the Chaturvidya dosha in Rudira Nivarana, we have to Sandana, Skandana, Dahana, and Pachana are to be done. And Rakta Srava complications are to be thought, especially educated well. And in this way, we have to protect our body, especially Rakta is Jiva, and Jiva if not there, life is not there. So Rakta, Rasa and Rakta are having the Avinabhava Sambandha. Rasa is the Adya Dhatu, and all the Dhatu are manifested after Rasa, and hence Vamsa, Meda, Asti, Majja, Shukra, all are responsible for Rakta, because Rakta and Rasa are having the Ashraya Bhava and Avinabhava Sambandha. So let us protect the blood. By this, let me conclude, and I thank for the pleasant hearing of you all and an opportunity given to me, especially to the management, chairman of the institution, as well as the principal of the institution, and all my colleagues. Hope, my dear students, I went a little fast because this is a very vast subject. So the details that you discuss or go through the text, and if any doubts are there, you can discuss later with me. By this, let me conclude. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I think sir has finished this topic well within time.
Vast
It is
actually.
indeed a very vast topic. So, if at all there are any queries now, because sir is basically from the field of Shalya Tantra. So, any queries in this regard, any practical queries that are there, you may please put forward your questions. You may unmute yourself and ask the questions to sir directly, or else you can use the chat option to type in your questions, and I would like to convey the questions to sir. So, any questions from the participants? So, sir, just to initiate the discussion, let me ask you one particular very popular question that is commonly asked even these days in the postgraduate sessions of Shalya Tantra also.
Yeah.
Shonitam Chaturtaihi, considering this Shonita as the fourth dosha, how practical it is?
Yeah, that is what already I have discussed. Say, when without blood, no body parts are there. No body parts are functioning. And without blood, Vata, Pitta, Kapha is having no other role. And it is also said that Rakta and Pitta are having the relationships, Ashraya Bhavas. And especially in Shalya Tantra, while telling, the Sushruta said that if Rakta is affected, or if any trauma is taken place or any disorder is taken place, it affects Rakta itself. Hence, the Rakta dosha, Rakta is also to be considered. Rakta as an independent faculty or the factor may lead to certain disorders, and it is hence the Rakta is also considered to be as equivalent to doshas like Vata, Pitta and Kapha. Okay.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sir, I think one of your students, Dr. Dheeraj, he wants to convey his message that he is listening to you
Okay.
after a very long time.
Okay.
And he has a query, sir. His question is whether can you highlight about the conservative treatment in the third degree hemorrhoids associated with mucosal prolapse?
As far as the third degree of hemorrhoids are concerned, when it is coming out now, and again it is not going inside spontaneously, or even if it is always external, as in the fourth degree. So in certain conditions, the conservative methods means we have to do the package only. Say, the one is you have to prevent from the constipation. The patient should not be allowed to get constipated at any cost. And the some certain pichu or the what you can say package, the packing applications to make the hemorrhoids inside, or the what you can say the protruded part to sit in the internal part. That is the only way we can do. Conservative treatment means, and no other way I suggest. One is prevent from constipation, and the positioning of the patient as far as possible, avoid sitting and standing, and application from the external pad application, pad only is the way when we are not entering to the surgical procedure. If surgical procedure means we can go with the Kshara and Agni Karmas simultaneously, other than hemorrhoidectomy. Apart from hemorrhoidectomy, I also treating so many cases by Kshara and Agni Karma. I hope you got it.
Sir, there is one more question. The question is not very clear. The question is something related with uremia, bleeding, and HUS disorders. How to control the bleeding? I think it may be related to any chronic bleeding tendencies and also CRF.
It may be chronic tendencies and internal. So in such occasions, the Raktastambaka Aushadha Prayoga may be practiced in Ayurveda. We are going with or we are treating with certain ganas, which are Rakta Samrakshaka qualities. That only Rakta Stambaka group of medications, kashayas, and the treatments from externally also, like the bastis, Uttara Basti, maybe practice. Uttara Basti, the experience I am not having, but I heard by certain experts in the, what you can say, the bladder related conditions. And the medicines I cannot say, tell. Some Lajjalu related drugs can be used, and also the Rakta Stambaka Gana drugs can be used, and the prime cause is to be treated. If it is due to some internal, what you can say, the disorders related to the kidney or other organs, or even you have to go for the carcinomatous or the malignancies, whether malignancy tendency is there. In such occasions, the prime cause, I have already not told actually, in any hemorrhages, the prime cause is to be treated first, along with the hemorrhage treatment. Here also, only the Mutra Lagana as well as Rakta Stambanopayas in the form of kashayas can be done as far as my knowledge is concerned. And Chandrakala Rasa group of drugs can be used. I hope you understood.
Thank you, sir. I think we have less than a minute again left. I don't think we can go on with any other questions.
Okay.
So one question is there, sir. It's a practical related question, whether there is a limit or duration in regards to the time when we consider Rakta Stambaka drugs like Lajjalu or Vasa. How much time, how long we can administer these?
The limit and duration of the regarding of the time, mostly we cannot, it is not there. We can use it as a routine because they are all in the Dravya herbal pattern, so herbal medicines. So we can go on treating for a long duration itself, because it in the acute bleeding we cannot consider it as an external application, etc. Internally, to prevent from the disorders we are using.
Related to Rakta Stambana drugs and the duration of administration.
Rakta Stambana drugs. So there is no absolute or what can I say, specific duration. For the long duration you can give. You can observe, say 1 week, like that. Say the acute cases, external applications, you know already. Say some pastes are there. Rakta Stambaka pastes, that's what I, due to the lack of time, I went a little fast from the slide. Sandhana, Skandana, Dahana, Pachana are the 4 methods we know. So the Sandhana we already know. Rakta Sandhanaka drugs, Sandhanakara drugs, apart from the procedures. Of course, the ligature, stitching, etc. are the Sandhanas. Here, this Rakta Sandhanakara drugs. So here external drugs means we have to observe. No, there is no duration. Say we have to observe for about half an hour, like that, up to drying, as well as its wetness is to be observed. After drying, whether it is becoming wet, the paste, external means. Internal means, I think you can give for a sufficiently long time. Some drugs we have to go with the chronic hemorrhage, etc. You have to go with the procedure for 7 to 15 days also may be required, especially the medicinal treatment. Like ST Madhu may be there, or the Chandrakala Rasa may be there. Like that, we have to give as per our observation. That much only I can tell. Thank you.
Sir, there was an extension to the same question that was asked, whether there is a chance of the medicine becoming Satmya in case of chronic administration.
Chronic administration, of course, certain drugs may get Satmya. It is we cannot put aside. But when the purpose is served, that is what I was going to tell. For a very long time, usually the application of medicine may not required, or we can have to change the medicine itself if the bleeding is not controlled. So when the bleeding is stopped for certain, especially in the internal bleeding, I am telling, the say duodenal ulcer, etc. You are giving the ST Madhu, etc. So Satmya is, we cannot put aside for a very long time. If we give, it may become Satmya, and by that time we have to change any other drug, or we have to go for another mode of treatment. Thank you.
Sir, there is one more question. Yeah, the questioner is satisfied with your answer, sir, regarding Satmyata and duration of administration. There is one more question on whether what Ayurvedic medicines can be given in case of epistaxis, sir.
Epistaxis, as far as my knowledge is concerned, one is we can go with Vasas, Kapaka, as well as the ST Madhu related medicines, and Chandrakala Rasa, the most commonly used as the internal medication, and certain medicines which are again Pittahara used to be used here. Kamaduga Rasa, ST Madhu, and Vasa Putapaka can also, even the, what you can say, the Nashakarmas can be done.
Sir, I think there are no further questions.
Okay.
So thank you very much for a nice presentation and also being kind enough to answer the queries, sir. Thank you very much on behalf of Munial Institute of Ayurveda Medical Sciences. I also thank all the participants for your active hearing, patient hearing, and also active participation for the discussions. We would be coming up with further series of webinars in the coming week also. So be connected. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In a very fast manner, I went on with this topic. So if any disturbances or inconveniences were there, please excuse me. Only by viewing upon the time, I went a little fast. And later on, if any doubts and if any guidance are required, always welcome. I am very much grateful for the opportunity given to me to discuss with my students, because since from 30 years in the teaching field, I am very much I am very much loved in teaching, especially along with the students with the discussion pattern. However, here I got one opportunity to interact with you. Very happy. I am very happy today, because after a long time I am teaching due to the corona, etc. I am isolated at the home. So let me hope again I will come with you to teach you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.